I'm so excited and honored to have Christian SUNDBERG and ARKE MURATOVA here with me today. One thing that the three of us have in common is that we all have pre-birth memories. And so we thought it would be a good idea to get together and just talk about our pre-birth memories and answer some of the questions that were asked most commonly. We were going to do 6 questions, 2 for each of us, but then we added a bonus question on the end. So we have 7 questions and we'll just jump right in and get started. Question number 1 is, how do we know we aren't being tricked into coming here over and over? And I get this question a lot because there are some pretty prominent voices on YouTube who are saying that we're caught in and stuck in an Earth's prison and reincarnation cycle here against our will. So we're going to talk about that. How do we know that we aren't actually being tricked into coming here over and over and that we do have free will? Do you guys do you want to have an order of how we answer it, or you just want to jump in?
However you feel, Melissa. You could start and we can go around, or just jump in. It could be organic.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'll start. So my experience of the other side from my pre-birth memories and my out-of-body experience that I had when I was 18 is that it is not very easy to deceive. Truth is pretty self-evident on the other side. And I'm not going to say that it's impossible for there to be a deception, because I don't think my experiences are encompassing enough to say that. But what I can say is based on my own personal experience, and specifically in interacting with my guides or angels or whatever name you have for those beings, the ones that specifically help you to plan your life and guide you through this life, the truth of who they are is very self-evident. Because when you're on the other side, you don't have physical barriers to hide things behind. You don't have mental barriers. When you interact with another spirit being, you go way beyond being able to simply read their thoughts. You can become one with them to the point where you feel that you are them, and you've experienced everything that they have from their point of view. It's really impossible for there to be a deception in a scenario like that, because if they were saying something that was untrue, which I think would be impossible to begin with, you would immediately know it. And so speaking for myself and my specific experience with these, what I would call my angels or my guides, the knowledge that I had of them is deeper than you would have of your children, your parents, your intimate partner. It's like you are a part of them, and you are all a part of this magnificent song of creation of everything that is. And it's just perfect knowledge, it's perfect communication, and it's perfect trust. And also specifically for me, I remember planning my life. I was in no way tricked into coming here. I can't necessarily speak for anybody besides myself, but I did plan it. I was very excited about it, and I chose all of the major life events that were going to happen. So that's my take on that question.
ARKE, you want to go next?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, I have thought about this question, and I have never been asked this, but I've seen it circling around the internet, and I did ask the guides when I met them. I asked a bunch of questions, but then when I tried to recall them consciously, it was very abstract, all over the place, because I tried to wrap words around them. And also the human mind filters everything. So I was trying to understand what I received and what they were trying to say, what I felt. But what I can start off with for this question, being tricked itself, it comes from the human mindset, human experience, and from the ego itself. So looking at the word trick is manipulated, lied, controlled. And if we look at it, we learned about all of this on Earth. Each one of us, at least once in their lives, they have experienced that or they did that to somebody. And I think this person is implying that all of these actions are still applicable on the other side, that they still exist on the other side. However, from what I've experienced, our core was pure consciousness, and it was just pure love, unconditional love, no judgment at all. And at that pure consciousness, we are so magnificent, so powerful, so transparent that we are just one. And we feel each other. We don't need words. So you feel the tree, you feel the other soul, you feel everything before they say anything, before they direct the message, before they form the message. And at that level of transparency, you just feel the other soul and what they're saying, what they're trying to say, their concerns, their feelings, their intentions, their pure love. That the tricking, manipulating, controlling doesn't exist there because it is what comes from ego. And what's out there is just the pure love. And love is not controlling. Love is freeing. And love is forgiving. And love is compassionate. And love is accepting. Love is understanding. Love is patience. Love is trust. And that's what we are. So I don't, at least from my own experience, I know that I wasn't tricked. And I don't believe that we can be tricked because we are the universe experiencing ourselves through these physical human experiences. We are trying to expand our consciousness. And I don't think we trick ourselves to come here. And by this question, what I'm imagining is this person has this mindset of that there is someone who is much more powerful than you, that's much more stronger than you, who can trick you to come here. Let's say that's the case. If that being that is more stronger and much more powerful than you did trick you to come here, which is the result, why didn't that being take your free will of questioning things? Even asking this question is a proof that you have the free will to question. And if that being is that powerful, or God, or whoever you want to call it, they would have taken that away from you. Why would they go all the way through the tricking and you coming here, asking that question? That's the question I have in my mind. Like, why would that be that way? So I don't believe that you can be tricked, because even the question that you are asking here is the proof that you have the free will to ask questions and question everything. And that is the evidence of that you have love, which is love is the freeing. Love is freedom. Freedom means you have the free will to do whatever you want, to ask questions, to be whoever you want, to have any experience you want. Even if it's this question itself, which is a funny question for me. And I did have this, because I used to astral travel a lot and get out of my body a lot. And I've met beings and I used to ask them, like, I used to get scared a lot at first, but then I did ask once, why would they carrying me in the past? Because I would see them in my room, in the corner, or working on my body, or saying things like questioning or asking me things, and I would be frightened. So I used to ask them, why was that happening? Why were you scaring me? And then they explained that it wasn't them scaring me, but it was me, myself, and my state of being. The fearful state of being blinds you completely, that you don't perceive anything or anybody in front of you for who they are, but you filter them from your perception. For those who say that they have been tricked, I don't know. It's coming from their experience. I wouldn't judge, and I wouldn't say that they're right or wrong, because I don't know. I can't tell. what if there is a purpose behind all that mindset, behind all that perception they have? What if for, the reason they remember it because they thought they had been tricked? What if it was the only solution for them to keep that memory of the afterlife? Or for them to become more conscious in this human life? What if that is the case? And I would always leave an open-ended questions and see, try to expand and, zoom out the questions and see from each perspective rather than jump to the conclusion like, oh yes, this person was tricked, this person was not tricked. So yeah, I can't tell that. But for myself, I wasn't tricked. For sure, I wasn't tricked. And although I have gone through challenges in life, I am very, very happy I have gone through them because of the moment now I am experiencing, and I understood the lessons in each of the challenges I had. So, and I just hope that those people who think they've been tricked, they can enjoy without being attached to that word of being tricked and manipulated and controlled, to come here and fully enjoy the human experience while they're here, because what else you can do? Yeah, that's all for me, Christian.
Yeah, thank you. That was beautiful.
Can I be honest? I've spoken with hundreds of people since I first started my YouTube channel. Number one universal thing that people say to me is, why can't I feel divine presence, my guidance, my higher self, etc.? People want to feel something. They want inner transformation on the spiritual path. And yet most religions and spiritual paths fall short to provide this. When I speak to people, even those who are advanced meditators who have more experience meditating than I do, they all tell me the same thing. Nothing really works to give me that connection to divine love that I'm seeking. There are simple practices that you can do that can shift things radically in your internal space. And it takes time and it takes consistency, but it's not hard. And the vast majority of people don't know this and aren't doing this and then wonder why they can't connect to divine love. And this is why I started my one-on-one sessions, so that I can work with people, find out where you're at and exactly what you need. In my sessions, I not only work on your energy field, balancing your chakra system, enhancing your energy, providing energy work for any specific area of need, and giving you feedback on what I see in your energy field, I also send you away with simple, implementable, powerful practices to actually shift your state of consciousness, connect you to your divine nature, your connection to divine love, and be able to shift your consciousness on the internal plane to move away from suffering, attachment, and judgment into peace and flow and connection to divine love. Due to my schedule being a bit packed, I can only take on a limited number of clients in the month of September, and I am looking to work with 2 to 4 people. I do offer single sessions, which are fantastic and I love them, but if you really want to go deep and see shifts, I recommend either the 2 or 4 session packages. It is likely going to fill up very fast. So if you think that you could be in one of those 2 to 4 people that wants to work with me in the month of September, check the description box for the link.
So I definitely agree with both of you from my experience. And again, I agree. I can also only speak from my own experience. Deception is something we learn on Earth while we are in the non-native experience of separation. So here we're in a place where we don't communicate in a pure way. We don't have that full telepathic access that is natural to us. In other states of being, it's natural to have that full telepathy and to have, I like the word transparency that ARKE used. We have that full transparency. And it is the most natural thing. And in that transparency, there is full knowing. And full knowing is totally self-evident when you are there. So the exchange with others is they're a part of you and you're a part of them, and you feel it and you know it. And so the exchange, if there was deception, or there couldn't be deception, I mean, but if there was even an attempt, you would know it because the intent would be seen and thought would be seen. Now, in my case, I also chose this life intentionally. And I also feel very confident I was not tricked. I had full knowledge of what I was doing and what I was choosing and why, and all the details of the life that I was reviewing and why. And I had full connection with my guides, and they understood me very deeply. And it was all up to me. And it was all done from a vantage point that was much higher than the human personality's vantage point. And also, very importantly, I think it's really important to add that I knew that my choice to incarnate, my choice to surrender to the veil, as we call it, had to be intentional. And it had to be intentional because the soul is a part of the whole. It's a part of source. It's sovereign unto itself. So the only way that it can be bound, we're not actually bound, it just feels like we are. The only way that we can be bound is to surrender ourselves into the binding. There is no greater power than the sovereignty of the soul, because it's what is. It's the thing that is. It's the substance of beingness, of creation itself. And so from that vantage point, it sees all and knows all, and it makes the choice completely voluntarily. And I believe that's why in my pre-birth experience, both times that I recall surrendering to a veil in a physical life, my surrender, my free will allowing was absolutely necessary. And that choice was done from a place of total seeing and knowing. But then once we're here and once we're wrapped in the experience of the human condition and all the limitations, we learn many things. We learn how to experience the world in a non-native state of separation. And in this non-native state of separation, we don't experience each other's thoughts commonly. We don't feel each other's feelings commonly. I mean, we still do on some level, but it's not like a routine, common moment to moment thing. And so we think that like our thoughts are private, our internal experience is private. And, and then we can't even feel that the people outside of us are even a part of us anymore. So deception is just part of what has arisen from, our choice making here in this context. But then once we're here, because we have no memory of the higher context, we assume that things that are true here must be true in the higher systems. We try to look up and out, you could say. We try to impose what we learned on Earth onto the rest of the picture. But we can't do that, because this is the non-fundamental state of being. It's metaphorically like if you logged into a video game and then thought you were the video game character and tried to understand all of reality from the perspective of the video game character. It wouldn't really make sense, because that character is under non-native limitations. That's how it is being human. We're under a non-native set of limitations. And then because it's all we remember, we assume that all of reality is, captured by those limitations, and it's not. Even things like linear time and discrete location, these things that seem super obvious to us are not fundamental limitations. They're not real. So deception is one of those things we learn on Earth, and because of our fear, we're afraid of it. And so then we're afraid, maybe this is how it is in the big picture. We tend to believe about our reality, and then whatever we believe about it, we put that interpretation upon our physical reality, and then we assume that the larger context is just kind of like the physical reality, but maybe bigger, and we want to impose that same understanding on it. But that can't truly be done. In the higher states of being, there is, and I love the word that ARKE used, there's this beautiful transparency between us all. It is the natural state of being, because we are all connected. We're all one. And my goodness, I miss it. Melissa and I were talking about this before we started recording tonight, how it's just so alien on Earth to not feel that in a full conscious way all the time. But anyway, in higher systems, feeling that connectedness and that transparency is the natural state. And in that state, everything that the other being is experiencing, feeling, thinking is totally known and seen. And it's seen for what it is, and it's okay that it is what it is. And in that atmosphere, in that context, there, in my experience at least, there is no room for deception, because everything is plainly seen out on the table and everything is felt. So I feel confident, at least for myself. Again, I agree, I can't speak for anybody else's experience, but I feel confident that deception is not possible. That's a locally learned earth-based assumption. And from that state of being, it's self-evident what is, and I do not feel it's possible to be deceived into a physical incarnation.
Thank you so much, both of you. 100% agree with everything that you said. And something else came to me while you guys were talking that I thought I might just add. Because we're all like in agreement that deception is impossible on the other side, or whatever we want to call it. But then I get a lot of comments from people who tell me things like, well, I remember I did not want to come here and my guides grabbed me and pushed me in and told me you have to do this. You signed up for it or something like that. And one thought that I have about that is that I've read both of Michael Newton's books and some of Dolores Cannon's books, and they're both between life regressionists. And what we all have a memory of to some extent, or I know, Christian, you do, is planning your life. And then I think what might happen is as you're getting to that point where it's time for you to go, and this comes out in the books a lot, Michael Newton's books specifically, that it is kind of like okay, you have to go. Now it's time. Yep. And at that point, once you're going in, you are starting to go under the veil and you're not remembering things as clearly, but the life has already been set up. And if you don't go, it's not like, it's going to be horrible. You're going to mess up the big plan or something, but there could be ramifications for people that you've made agreements with. So that's one explanation for maybe why people are remembering that message right before they go in.
Yeah, I'll make a quick comment to that. So I feel that this is super hard to talk about. I feel that the human personality portion of the self is formed prior to the physical experience. Mm-hmm. It has to do with the veiling. And so once there is a subset of the self, call it the personality portion of the self, that personality experiences reality from its own perspective and may be nudged to continue down the path that the higher self has signed up for that portion of itself. And now that makes it sound like two different selves, and it's really just one self. But like, for instance, here as the human personality, when people have near-death experiences, sometimes they'll begin to go back and a guide will say, oh, wait, no, it's not time yet. I don't feel it's that dissimilar, because the personality portion of the self doesn't have full visibility. It may not even remember what it has agreed to participate in. In a sense, every day that we get up in the morning and go about our day and eat our breakfast, we are that unconscious, we've signed up to play this role and have this perspective. And every day that we do that from this veiled perspective is a part of that original commitment. So whether that commitment is expressed here in a physical way or in certain non-physical experiences, I don't see a huge difference, because I feel that the physical and non-physical experiences, there doesn't need to be a huge distinction between them. I feel like sometimes the personality needs a nudge, and we get those.
Thank you, Christian. Are we ready to move on to question 2?
Does ARKE, did you have something to share?
No, that's
okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to rush you. All right. So question 2 is, why do we have to come here to learn about love if we are already loving by nature? And I think this is the most common question that I get asked.
I just want to take a break for a quick moment to thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching and supporting this channel. I could not put out this content without your support. Just watching and commenting and sharing the videos is huge. But you guys ask me consistently if there's anything else that you can do to show your support financially. And there is a way that you can support the channel and also get huge benefit for yourself. I have a community membership called The Sanctuary, which you can join for as little as $10 a month. I created The Sanctuary because people in the spiritual community tend to be very lonely. Oftentimes people have deconstructed their faith. They've had an NDE or spiritual experience that they're afraid to share with people. And so many of us are looking for that safe space where we can connect with others like us, feel safe to share, and as an added bonus, grow together. And that's exactly what the sanctuary is designed to be, a safe, supportive space. We have a thriving community. We have courses, mini courses, challenges, meditation soundtracks, and I'm now starting to create energy work infused meditation soundtracks for you to join with me in doing energy work and giving healing to the planet, which is by far my favorite type of content I have ever created in my entire time as a content creator. So join the sanctuary today to get access to all of my meditations, my new energy work infused meditations, and all the other wonderful resources and people that you will meet in the sanctuary. Link is in the description box. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
So this is a question that's very, very hard to answer and articulate into language because we are looking at things from a very, very limited perspective here, and our language is even more limited. But the best way that I could answer that is to say that on one level, I do think it is true that we are here to learn about love. And I know that many near-death experiencers are told this, life is the school of learning how to love. And it just makes it really simple and easy for us to understand on this level. But I think maybe it's more of like a grade school way of describing what's happening, and maybe more like a college graduate way of trying to explain it would be less that we have come here because we need to learn about love, and more that we want to be part of the expansion and unfoldment of love. So here we are within time, and we're looking at things as a progression of events. We're experiencing the evolution of our souls, so to speak. But in reality, outside of time, where we exist as spiritual beings, there is no progression of events. There is nothing to learn. We don't need to grow and develop. We are already perfect. And this is the part that's really hard to describe. The universe is perfect because it is becoming perfection, and it is experiencing that becoming and that evolution into the perfection that it already is. And it's the eternal unfoldment of now, or the eternal evolution and unfoldment of love. And we come here to experience that and to be part of that. So in some way, when we project our consciousness into this world of contrast, where we can experience something that is the opposite of love, and we can still be what we are strengthening love or expanding love, even though love is already perfect. It is perfect because it is evolving into perfection. And that doesn't make sense to our human minds, but that's the best way that I can describe it.
That was beautiful. ARKE.
Yeah, I love it. I actually thought about this question, and I honestly was like stuck with it, and I was like, how do I explain that feeling? How do I explain everything that was downloaded, but in the form of feeling, in the form of knowing, into words? And I think it is far more complex than we can think or imagine, and from the human mind, how we are right now at. But when and I'm speaking from my own experience, when I had my out-of-body experiences, I didn't feel like there was something on earth we were learning and taking to afterlife. Like there was nothing that I was taking to afterlife. And the love and this question is completely logical, because I understand why would someone, would ask this, and I would ask the same thing. Because I felt like I was this pure love. I was the entire universe was within me, and I was connected to everybody and everything. So I thought, well, why did I go to Earth? But then I had this unconditional love to Earth, and I felt this responsibility that I have to go back. And then I started questioning here on Earth and researching consciously already, asking myself, okay, so I am this love and it's at my core. So what am I doing here? And I think we aren't actually learning about love, but we are remembering about our love and what we are, and also having this experiences where we have the separation, where we have the physical form, the sensations, the physical sensations, and individual characteristics to each other, which we don't have on the other side. We are completely one, and here we are separate. We have separate thoughts, we have separate talents, hobbies, interests, and things like that. And I think that's beautiful. And I was thinking like, okay, then the message I was given was the purpose of your life is love. And I was thinking, but I already love everybody and everything. But then I was still loving from the mind. There is this mind love, mind filtered love, which is, there was this story, I watched this video. I forgot the name of the author, but he was asked, he was a fisher. So he was asked, do you love fish? And why do you love fish? And he goes, oh, fish tastes yummy. And it tastes good. It fills me up. And then, but is that true love? And then to that fisherman, the question was, isn't that fish love? Because you don't love the fish itself. It's freedom and it's the fish for who it is, but you love the taste of it, the pleasure it gives you. And that was the ego filtered love. But the pure love we have is the freedom that we give to that fish for being itself, for swimming, for being the colorful, for being a mess, pooping, everything. So you love that fish entirely, unconditionally. No agenda, nothing wrapped around, completely. And I think we slowly, by our human experiences, by our challenges, by our ego guiding us, we learn slowly about that. We slowly learn to love everything about ourselves, every suffering we had, every failure we had, every doubt we had. Slowly transcending it all with unconditional love, because that's what we end up with at the end. And I think the divine purpose is remembering the love, despite of how much we have forgotten about who we truly are. And by expanding our experiences, and by creating something new and expanding the universe by, each one of us having different experiences, different worlds. You had the different view, you had different experiences, I had different challenges, and it's expanding the whole universe because we are the universe. And we, through those experiences, we apply that unconditional love to it. So at the end, would I say that we learn about love coming here? I would say we remember our love, and we learn to apply that love to everything, and we go beyond that separation. We don't separate the good and bad, dark and white, and joy and pain. We just love everything unconditionally because it was never separate. It was always one. I wouldn't say we come to learn about love, but remember about love and ourselves, and also expand the universe, expand ourselves and who we are by creating our worlds, our experiences. So that's what I would say. So I wouldn't specifically use the word I'm learning about love, because I don't know. I think I'm remembering about love, because if you take all the layers off of all the beliefs and religions, everything that was applied, I am left with nothing but love to, like, I would be left with love. That's what I would be left with. It's so hard to explain in words. Anyways, I hope that made sense, because it makes so much sense in my head. And I watched this video of Dolores Cannon, and she says, we come here to learn about energy and manipulate energy. And I thought about it. How do we learn to manipulate energy? You know, it's easy to go through the life and go through experiences when you are centered, when you are present, when you are loving. And you know, you have that trust in yourself, you have that trust in the universe, because you are the universe and you know it's happening for you. You learn about your love, and then the outside world starts mirroring that love.
Thank you, ARKE. That was beautiful. I really resonate with that. So yeah, language is ridiculously limiting and difficult in this context. So I'll just give it a shot, but I agree it's butchering it no matter what words we use. Okay, so the true substance of our being is love. And it doesn't need anything. Need is another human learned idea. Spirit itself, beingness itself, is. And it is totally free and full. It is all life. It's full of all life. It has no need. So you could say love is what is like a describer of the substance of beingness. It describes life itself. It describes what we are. So then why come to, quote, learn love? Learn, I agree, learn is a really difficult word, and perhaps not the right word. But we only have so many words. And the learning we do is not intellectual. It's not behavioral, even. It is experiential. It is a growth of the being with a capital B by being with a lowercase b. So what I mean is the spirit that we are, the consciousness that we are, the fullness that we are, expands what it is, and it is made of love. Okay, so it's an expansion of love through the process of being something specific. And the deeper the context, so like the human experience is an extremely limiting context, very, very vibrationally distant by comparison state of being. And because the distance is so great, the opportunity is so great. Because the further we can go out in that vibrational distance, if we can meet this experience with love and integrate this experience, integrate means fully process, fully come to terms with, fully meet our fears, fully experience everything and accept everything. And as we do that, we shine what we already are, that love and that joy and that freedom, because that is our true nature. And as we can shine that into the world, even in very, very small ways, like I'm not talking you got to move all these mountains. I'm saying like the beauty of any common moment as we bring love and joy and peace into it. If we can do that here, there's this beautiful, oh my gosh, there's no words for this, expansion of the body of life, or the body of being itself grows and expands to that place. So you might think of it like contrast is a creative tool that consciousness uses to expand its already loving nature. We are creative beings, so we choose to experience this, and we choose to exercise our creativity even in a context of great limitation like this one, even when things can be really difficult and crazy, and even when we're like, goodness, we don't remember we're unconditionally loved. Can you imagine? Like, here we are. And while we don't remember we're unconditionally loved, from here we're making choices. You see, it's an incredible context through which to expand and integrate experience so that the true nature of our loving being can more fully grow and express. So I guess that's the only way I can possibly try to put it in a succinct way. It like love is already what we are. We can't lose it. We don't need to do anything. But love and joy are their own reward. Love and joy are beautiful and awesome. So we choose to expand love and joy. We're curious enough and creative enough and powerful enough that we choose to even come and have an experience of incredible limitation for the expansion of love and joy.
So question 3, this question came from Christian, and it's, why is the veil necessary? I love this question so much. Christian, did you want to take that one first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, so this segues well with what we just described. So if we're here to participate in this context, in order to do that, you have to be from the perspective of the context. Like, I know that sounds so simple, but if you want to be the human, you got to be the human, man. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be the human. If you want a rubber meets the road expansion of being, then that being needs to actually be the character. Like, when we get back to the other side, I don't want to pigeonhole this, but we could say, this is silly, I'm being a little bit silly, but it's true. We could say, I was that person. I did that. I experienced going to the bathroom. I understand nausea or whatever aspect of the human experience we're talking about. I was that. It's not that I was the universe that did that. I was a human. I mean, you are the universe doing it. I'm just saying that in order to have the experience from this perspective, it means that you must be veiled from the fullness of what you really are. That's the simplest way to put it. Because, and then there's some other reasons too. One is it prevents really painful homesickness, because if you remembered consciously the fullness and the beauty of life in the higher realms, you would not be able to, I mean, at least this is how I feel. You wouldn't be able to go to work in the morning or like get anything done or do anything or think any normal human thoughts, because the desire to return to that could be overwhelming and overpowering. And also, similarly, the veil prevents distraction. It sounds simple, but there's this practical element. If you want to be the human, you got and focus only on the human stuff. You can't, it's beneficial to not have full conscious access to all the other reality systems and all the other portions of the self. So one other comment I'll add is that the veil is actually additive. So I know that we think of the veil as a reductive process. Okay, so I acknowledge that there is a reduction in the access to the full knowing of our true higher nature. That's the name of the game, like the very name of the game. But there is this incredible addition, an expansion of the self through a new personality. It's the same self. So like if you have multiple experiences, multiple lifetimes, it's not different beings. It's you. You're doing this one day and this the other day. You're having this walk this day and this walk this day. They're still you. You might be a woman this life and a man this life. No big deal. You're just experiencing these different experiences. But the additive thing then is that you get to be that new perspective, and you can be it from a place that is, I want to be careful about the language here, but basically uncontaminated by patterns from previous experiences. Now, we do still carry certain patterns with us at the soul level from experience to experience. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like if a previous personality had a certain pattern that it got wrapped within for a lifetime, maybe an ego pattern or something, then a new lifetime, a new veiled experience is a fresh start. It's a new opportunity to create something new and to start from a new perspective, like a new addition, a new canvas maybe or something. So I guess that's, I could go on for a long time about the veil and passionate about this topic, but I think that's like at a super high level. It allows us to have the limited experience of being the human personality, because if you weren't the veiled human, you'd be the larger you. And that's not what we're here to experience. We're here to experience being you, the human.
Thank you, Christian. ARKE, you want to go?
Well, I just want to say, I have my notes here, and I wrote exactly the same as Christian described, but probably much more. I would say he described it very well. The things that I was trying to like express and explain, And I completely agree that I believe this veil was necessary because I remember at some point I was so desperate to know about my past lives or like if I had any. And that was like distracting me from having this character's life expanded and experiencing and having the joy in the present moment. So, and I remember thinking about my pre-birth memory and I thought, why don't I remember more? Like, why don't I remember the beauty that everyone's been describing? Like, I only remember the part where I was about to jump into this life. And I thought about it. I think with the life I had and the challenges I had, if I remembered that beauty, I would probably not want to live this life at all. I would just say, okay, let's cancel this life. All right. I am voiding my contract or something like that. So I think that was the reason for, I think our soul decided in order to have this individual experience, this full experience, the new, entirely new form, in order to create a new world in the form of a new character, we had to erase the memory of who we are and where we came from. And that's also part of our nature, our curiosity to expand that. That was the drive in that choice. So I think that was it. And as well as I also felt this huge relief when I got out of my body and I remembered who I am. But at the same time, I also remembered that I was doing my best to not forget who I am. And I was doing my best to remember my pre-birth memory my entire human life, because that was the purpose I said before coming here. For some reason, I said, I want to remember that. And there was this purpose linked to it. And it was raising the vibration and it was helping the earth. And because I felt like it was supposed to be a fun experience. It was supposed to be fun life for everybody to have this separation and enjoy everything. But it turned out it was going into another direction where people were, I would say, they were too caught up and too attached to the ego, to the beliefs, to the system. So they completely forgotten the fun of who we are and the true nature. So I was like, oh, I did my best. I succeeded. I remembered that little portion of my memory. Good job. So I think that was a fun part. But then again, at that point where I got out, I was getting this download of information about the purpose and what's going to happen and what's going on. Or like everything at once, because it was all happening simultaneously, like everything. And there was this moment where the veil was lifting up because the vibration was going up and up. The earth was shifting and new souls were coming, including me, including you. The volunteering souls were coming. And right now we're experiencing this major awakening around. And some babies, some souls, they do remember everything fully. They came with purpose. Even if they don't remember, they have this, some people, they have this sense of responsibility, urge to help, urge of knowing the purpose for some reason. They know they're not interested in afterlife or anything, but they know they have this purpose of helping. And I feel like the veil just is slowly lifting up. And it's making it easier for the volunteers to jump in and help others to remember that it's fun. Actually, it is. You were not supposed to be attached to this. This was what you actually wanted. This was actually what you wanted to experience. And you can change it you can flip the table however you want. You can change it. And I think I would say that the veil was necessary in the beginning. Right now, I think it is questionable because I don't know what's happening, but there are so many souls that are coming, that so many babies, they remember their past lives, they remember the purpose, they remember the universe, the planets they've been before, things like that. So I think it's slowly lifting up, and I think we all see the changes in our bodies as well. We are becoming lighter. I certainly feel that. And I see my surrounding. I see some people that are going through changes and some sort of a transformation, but they don't know it yet. But as an observer, you observe it, and I think, wow, this is happening, and this is the evidence. And you and Melissa and me, the evidence that we could remember, we could have that pre-birth memory. We kept holding on to that for some reason. And there is a purpose for that. And I feel like the veil, I think it's questionable. Will it stay? I don't know. I feel like if the earth keeps changing at its speed and it's now, and it's going to get better and better, and people are going to remember, and the generation is going to teach another generation about the nature of who we are, about the unconditional love and the universal energy, then the veil is not going to be this negatively looked thing. I think we would look at it positively. And who knows, what if the veil will lift up entirely? If we all start remembering and teaching our generation, the next generation, about who we are and the true nature of the energy vibrations, and the generation here, we will teach other souls that are coming about the fun. So it's not going to be a problem like most people look at it as. I think that's how I would approach it.
Well, I just love what both of you said, and both of you brought up such great points. And I'm kind of glad that I went last time because I want to respond to both of you. I would agree with what both of you said, that if you're going to be a human, then you have to be a human. And I would say the purpose of the veil, at least from my understanding, is to block us from knowing or remembering our previous life, previous existence, or experiencing the truth of who we are as part of the source and of everything that exists. And for me, I can say the veil is completely solid in the fact that I don't feel that oneness. Naturally, I don't feel or experience that connection. As far as the knowing and remembering, just having that little bit of a memory of what I was before this has been enough to make it really hard to integrate here. Mm-hmm. And I'll get into this a little bit more in one of the other questions that's more directly related to it. The harshness of the world, both the physical barriers and the mental barriers, and having to learn language, which just seems so clumsy and slow, and not feeling the connection that I can't feel, but that I can remember. I feel like I am not as fully into the human character as I would have been. And that's okay. I mean, I think that I knew it was going to be that way, but I think that's why the veil is necessary from a broader perspective as to why is the veil necessary. Another thought I have about this is that the veil is necessary to create the environment that we want to have here. And I've heard this from a number of sources, from Dolores Cannon, from Mike Such, who is a near-death experience researcher, and also from a couple of channeled sources, that Earth is the only what they call free will planet, and that there can only be one free will planet at a time. And my understanding what they mean by free will is not that in other planets or realms that you would be controlled against your will, but simply that the only choice that there is in other places is love. Because in other planets and other dimensions, we live in complete knowledge and awareness of who we are. But here on Earth, we have the choice between love and then the illusion of the opposite of love. And we come here specifically to have that experience. And the veil, which cuts us off from the knowledge of who we are, makes those conditions, creates those conditions, and gives us the circumstances that we need to have that very unique experience. And adding to what ARKE was saying about, is the veil always going to be necessary and is it starting to lift? I've had those same thoughts as well, because now again, this is coming from a limited perspective. This is coming from the perspective of where we are right now, which is inside of time. And we perceive ourselves and the earth as being in this evolution. And that's the story that we're participating in. But from this perspective, Earth being the free will planet is evolving, undergoing this experiment to see how far away from our source can we get and still remember that we are love. And then going down into the depths of that darkness and then rising back up into the light. And I think that as we evolve from our perspective here, we're evolving. And as the earth evolves, that the veil will become less and less necessary. According to my understanding, we'll reach a place where we are no longer the planet of contrast here, that we've gone through that process, undergone that test, so to speak. And then we come out the other side and we become a planet of peace and harmony where we are living in full knowledge of our true nature. But I mean, it's all part of the experience. To get to that point, we have to go through the contrast so that we can then say, like Christian was saying in the last question we talked about, look, I was that human. I experienced that darkness. I did that. And now here we are.
Thank you, Melissa. I resonate very much with that. I was just going to say about what you just said there, that as the temperature of the water rises, and that means as the vibration of the collective consciousness of humanity increases, that as we process fears and grow towards love and grow up, as we do that, the distance decreases. The distance between there and here, source and where we are way out here reduces. And as that distance decreases, our proximity to our higher nature increases naturally. So, the veil is just a part of the limitation set, the constraint set that we wear in order to have this experience. But as the collective consciousness shifts, therefore, so will our closeness to our higher natures, and our awareness will increase. And more will become consciously aware of, portions of the self. That's just natural. So I agree with that. I just want to make one other quick comment about the veil before we move off the veil question. This is super simple, but it came to mind as a meaningful thing. The veil permits the experience of novelty. So like when you bite into a chocolate cake, for me, it's gluten-free chocolate cake. When you bite into that, you have an experience that is informative. You have sensory data arrive to you that you're not sure what it will taste like. And then when it arrives, it's new. It's something you process. There is absolutely sensory experience, very much so in other reality systems, but there can be a lack of that certain novelty because we are connected to all things and we have a knowing of it. I don't know how else to describe this. So there's an opportunity for novelty in a system where you don't have visibility of what will happen and what things will be like to experience them.
Oh, great point. I hadn't thought about that. So question number 4, this is also Christian's question. The world is full of so much suffering. Why would anyone voluntarily agree to come to this place? And I get this question all the time as well.
I think all of these questions that you've named so far, I also get a lot. So I think this is a great list. Yeah. So this one is a delicate question because the world is full of extremely hurt people. And I am not making light of the incredible suffering that occurs and the incredible fear that we have that rises up out of the limitations and stories that we've bought into while humans saw it. I'm not making light of that as I comment on this. Okay, so it's not about suffering. Like it's not about signing up because suffering is good. It's not like that. It's that contrast is useful. And if we are to commit into a context in which choice making that is fear-based can occur, and by the way, that kind of relates to what you were saying about free will. I would slightly qualify just from my own perspective that we always have free will. It's just that the reality system we're engaged in permits a different set of choices. And so there are a set of choices that are possible here that aren't possible in other reality systems because we are experiencing separation. And so because we're experiencing an extremely non-native state of separation, fear can arise. And fear arises because we buy into perceptions that are not in alignment with the truth of who we are. So we buy into perceptions like I'm powerless or I am unworthy of love. Oh my gosh. Like how many people experience that from the moment they're, you know what I mean? Like throughout our job, we get conditioned deeply. I don't mean to laugh. It's just amazing how lost we become in these negative self-perceptions and they prompt fear. And then the ego arises mightily to try to address the fear, to try to fix this huge problem, this huge hole that exists now. So why would we voluntarily come into a place where such a hole can happen, or so much pain can arise? Well, the greater the distance, the greater the opportunity. And we see from that perspective that the fundamental truth, the absolutely rock hard, truer than true truth is unconditional love.
When we touch here, maybe just try this, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that feels nice. Yep. That's good. So just do that because it feels
eternal freedom and joy. It cannot be overcome. It is deeper than the deepest sorrow and suffering. We know that about ourselves in an incredibly real, tangible way. And it is actually quite miraculous that from the human perspective, we have lost sight of it. But it is nonetheless the rock bed of creation. That love, that freedom is the rock bed that has given rise to all these experiences. And we see that, and it's from knowing the truth of that and knowing the absolute survivability and unconquerability of that true nature that we then take the incredibly brave, curious, creative choice to really engage in some serious contrast for the expansion of love and joy. So it is about the opportunity, not about the suffering. Once we're here, of course, we have a lot of fear. And where there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of suffering. Fear is the primary source of the suffering. It's that we apply negative meaning to our lives, and we hurt others because of our own egoic responses, that we're hurting each other. A lot of people come in and we blame the world. Like, this universe is terrible. How can God allow this? And and the ego protests mightily. We rise up our fists and we feel very justified in our complaint. I'm not making light of that, but we are the problem. Like, what I mean is each one of us, our fear is the problem. It's not really the neutral constraint set that's high constraint. We're in a very high constraint reality system, but it's neutral. We are bringing our fear into the situation and hurting each other to all over the place. So the question is, can we move past that? Can we grow and integrate experience so much that we overcome that fear? And so that even in this context, we can shine love to each other, compassion, caring, understanding, patience. Can we do that even in the small ways? Can we grow as individual beings? It's not just about the product of some action. It's about growing who we really are.
ARKE, do you want to go next?
Sure. So the world is full of suffering. Why would anyone voluntarily agree to come to this place? And I think Christian explained it very, very well. In terms of putting things into words. But, we look at it in this limited way, in this limited perception. And it's so much more than that we can think of consciously and we can imagine. And we'll probably never find out in these human forms that we are at right now the true answer, that ultimate answer that we need. But I think because we are the universe, we are this whole giant pure consciousness, and we are one. And even the word, the we, it means that you are separate, you and I, and that creates the we. But that doesn't even explain that we are just one, a whole being. And as that pure consciousness, we are expanding and we are creating. And when we expand and create, I believe that we start co-creating. From what I've experienced when I felt everything, when I was on the other side, I had, and I came back, and I had this hard time of drawing the line between bad and good, wrong and right. For some time, I couldn't tell. I was sitting with my friends. They would talk about politics and things like, oh, these people are suffering, but this is wrong. And I couldn't draw the line because everything seemed like perfection. Everything was working out. Everything was balancing each other out. And that was what I experienced on the other side. And I brought it here and I tried talking to my friends and explaining, but it's the perfection without the survival mode people were in. They wouldn't fully appreciate and even recognize the pure love, the pure joy without having that contrast. I had like a lot of people, looking at me weirdly, like, what are you talking about? It's not perfect. But on that side, on the other side, you feel, because you are the universe and you created everything, you feel like everything, you feel that nurturing feeling, you feel that motherly love to everything, unconditional love, that you think it is perfect the way it is, and it's moving perfectly fine. And it's balancing, it's working things out, and it's expanding more and more and more. From that side where I looked at Earth, I didn't think, oh, they're suffering, this is bad. But I looked at it, oh, it's beautiful that's happening. But I felt a bit upset that they aren't having as much joy as they could, as we all could, because we forgot the magnificence, we forgot the power that we have that can change everything. And there are many stories of people who had challenges in their life, who suffered, and they transformed entirely, healed entirely. And that is the true evidence out here for us as a reminder, this is your power. On the other side, you have this expanded approach where you're like very joyful, you love it, you're like, okay, I'm jumping in. It is fine. It's going to be fine, because it's temporarily, and it's for yourself, and you have that sense of responsibility as well. You love and responsibility and that nurturing nature to yourself, that you are in yourself. You are in your own creation. You are the universe. You are the creator of the world. You are the creator of everything. And you are connected to everything. So you know that you are always at your core, at your love, and you can come back to that. And it's a temporary thing. And before, I remember when I got out, this character's life seemed like a dream. And it was very short. It was so short. Like I think, on Earth, I say I made 24 rounds around the sun, like 24 full circles around the sun. But then on the other side, when I was there with my mom, it all felt like it was just this joyful memory, just this distant memory. And if I wanted to think about it hard, I could remember the feelings attached to that memory, to that character. Like, oh my God, she was having this experience. Oh wow! But I couldn't recall the every suffering she had, the moments. I was like, oh, her name was this. Oh my God, she thought her name was this and this. Oh wow! And that's all I could remember. And I was very happy about the experience, and I wanted to go back. And I was like, I'm going back. Oh, she has to remember how powerful she is. I'm going back. And I think every soul at our pure nature, that's how we feel about the earth. Like, oh, I'm going back. I'm going to have that. I want to have that experience. I'm going into the unknown. How exciting is that? Because you know everything. At the end of the day, you know everything, but you choose to erase, to have that experience of unknown and see how you can use your powers to create the world you want and the experience you want. So I think we choose it voluntarily because we are the love, we are the universe, we are the whole. So we are experiencing ourselves through this expansion, through this physical form, through this world. And even the earth was created by us. So we have that unexplainable love to it. So we come back to it. We go to it because we know, well, it's temporarily. And it is hard for us on the other side to draw the line because you think you see beyond the limitations of human form we have, like beyond this mind where we see, oh, pain and pleasure, anger and joy, this and this. On the other side, you can't draw the line. It doesn't exist. So I think that's where we have that love and responsibility. So we come back voluntarily because we're doing it for ourselves.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was so well said and very inspiring and uplifting to me, listening to you describe that.
Well, I think it's more than that. I think we can go on and about it. And I feel like there are many people like me who had these experiences. And, if we jump on this research to answer this question, I think we can go for the infinity on Earth. But yeah.
Want to know how Tom, Mike, and Luke went from feeling stiff, sore, and injured every day to doing things like
this is shortly how I would put it. But it is hard to draw the line between the light and dark, pain and pleasure, and anger and joy, because you have to experience it to be able to draw the line. So I think that's where we come to the physical on Earth, and we try to draw the line because that's what we like to do. And we like to control, organize everything and try to find an explanation to everything. But on the other side, it seems perfect. Everything is perfect and beautiful.
I don't think what I have to say is going to be nearly as profound as what you just said, but I would just echo what you both said about this being a really sensitive topic. Why is the world full of so much suffering? And I get a lot of comments from people who have truly suffered, like people who live in war-torn countries, or there's a lady who comments pretty frequently who her son was murdered. And then we'll ask me, well, why? What's the point of that level of suffering? I never would have chose that. And so I'm always really sensitive if I'm talking to somebody, if you're watching this and you're somebody who has suffered to such a degree, I would never in a conversation with you tell you chose your suffering and this and that. I think the most important thing in that situation is to be compassionate and maybe to admit that I don't have all the answers. But speaking from my memory specifically for myself of why I chose to come to this life and what I remember about that, we may have different reasons why we come here. I think some people for some souls, come, especially now as volunteers, to help the rest of us. I think a lot of us come to challenge ourselves and also to be part of something so absolutely magnificent that we can't necessarily see from this side of things. So what it felt like to me when I was planning my life is this sort of the same way that it would feel in this life if I was signing up to take a double major at a college with like 5 AP classes, something that's going to really, really challenge me, but yet I'm really, really excited about it.
Yeah.
And also an element of maybe why people will do things like run into burning buildings to say people are signed up to serve and risk their life in the military. So there's like this aspect of challenging yourself and being super excited about it, and also being willing to serve for the benefit of everybody else. And so that's personally what I remember. I remember that, and I can't remember the details of my purpose now, but I do remember knowing that it was what we are doing here is so absolutely magnificent, and that I was going to play an important role in that, and that it was going to be just indescribably beautiful. And I wanted so much to be a part of it. So yeah, I was really excited to come here. I chose it to challenge myself and to be of service. Another thing I wanted to echo that both of you touched on is that it's not so much that we're signing up to come here and suffer. It's that we're signing up to come here and be in certain situations in which we can suffer, but ultimately we can learn how to not suffer. And I know that sounds really insensitive to people who are suffering, and I don't mean it that way at all. But by putting ourselves in these situations, we can learn to connect to who we truly are and the underlying foundation of love and joy, and learn to express that and use the suffering that we experience to grow and expand that until eventually we stop suffering. Because I've heard several people say this, there's a difference between pain and suffering. And suffering is what we create in our minds and the story that we tell ourselves about the events that we experience.
Yeah, thank you. I was actually going to comment on that too, Melissa. That's so beautiful. And it's also very sensitive to try to speak to, but, and this sounds so insensitive, this sentence, but like, I think it's important too. It's suffering until it's not. What I mean is we experience deep suffering, but when we find the rock bed of what we are, it's not suffering. It's not that the suffering has true power or something. It's not even that it is suffering. It's even that when we feel pain is a sensation. It doesn't have that meaning put on it yet. And the masters among us, there are people that are so beautifully evolved that I don't know how to put it. It's not suffering anymore. It's knowing the depth of contrast in a beautiful way that is not suffering any longer.
Question number 5. This is from ARKE. How vivid was your memory? ARKE, do you want to take that one?
Oh, yeah. So how vivid was my memory? So that's what my partner and my brother, they asked me all the time. Like, how do you know that it's not, simply a dream and, and memory? How I know that? Because as a child, I was going, I think, till the age of 4, I was just unconscious child, just having this, child experience, asking questions, learning about ABC and 1, 2, 3. But then at some point, I became this conscious, and I remembered this memory flashback. Everything came back, and I told my mom, like at the age of 4, where I have never ever seen pregnant women in my life, or have experienced like the death and afterlife, or the concept of God or angels, anything like that. At age of 4, I didn't know what it is. But I told my memory to my mom, like how she delivered me in that room, and I saw her giving birth to me, and the feeling she gave me, and the protection she gave me, and the guidance I also received not to forget about it. And I think that's enough evidence, because 4 years old, when she consciously comes up to you and starts speaking like an adult, that's where you know that that's not a dream, because I started getting flashbacks on that, and as well as the dreams where they would show me what's going to happen to my loved ones, to my grandparents, to my father. Also, I didn't know the concept of death. I've never been told about it at the age of 4, but I had a dream of my grandparents passing away, leaving the earth, but they're going to be fine. My father as well, leaving the earth, but he's going to be fine. So I didn't feel sad while I was telling that to my mom, like, this is what's going to happen. But I wasn't sad. I was like telling her excitingly, because this is the truth. Like, this is what's going to happen. Can you believe it? I remembered it. And, that's how I was telling her, like, can you believe it? I just remembered that this is the flashback and this is what's going to happen. But, adults around me, my mom, she was like, oh, you just probably had a dream, the dream. But I was telling them, this is not a dream. There is something that's changed here. I feel that there is something missing. I have to help. I don't know what it is, but there is something missing here. And I'm sure you guys have been feeling that as well. Like, as if you are supposed to know something, but you've forgotten about it, and you kind of need to remember about it. So you go and asking everybody, and I kept as a child asking everybody around me, every adult. So, but no one could give me the answers. And even if they gave me answers, I was sure that this is totally not it. I was also given the purpose behind of that memory. Why did I recall it? Why did I have it? Because during my childhood, I had to have that hope. I had to remember the words they said. Otherwise, I think I wouldn't want to live. I wouldn't want to be here, because I didn't feel connected to people. I felt like an outsider. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. But that memory, I was so attached to it, and it felt so good remembering the true love and the peace and enlightenment. So I kept holding on to that. And attached to it. So it helped me to go through the life and through challenges, because I think subconsciously, somewhere deep inside, it was giving me that comfort that it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Just be patient. Just wait. It's going to unfold. It's going to go, the challenges are going to pass quick. So I was in this waiting mode, and I knew that wasn't the dream. That was very vivid. But right now, because I'm no longer attached, and I'm not looking at challenges like challenges and trying to avoid them, but going through them, and I'm enjoying the moments now, that memory is slowly fading away. Picture-wise, it's fading away. It's not as picture clear as it was in my childhood. I used to try to draw it, but the feeling wise, it's still there. Whenever I recall that memory, feeling wise, it's still there. I have so much love attached to it, but right now I'm not using it as comfort as I used to. And I'm not using that memory as an escape as I used to. But just like the beginning of this character's life, the beginning of ARKE's life. And yeah, picture-wise, it's not as vivid. It's slowly fading as every good memory I have. I don't have the clear picture of it, but I remember it. So I can't deny it. And no matter what people say, and some people would just say, oh, you have a good imagination. And I'm like, okay. And no matter what anyone says, it doesn't cancel my memory, my experience, and the beginning of this character's life. So is it vivid? Not picture perfect vivid, like it's not HD quality, but yeah, feelings are strong around it because it was the first unconditional love I have experienced before the physical form of ARKE that I can remember, because I don't remember the rest, what was out there before that.
Thank you. So I guess I'll dive in next, Melissa. So for me, this is really hard to describe, but the pre-birth memory for me is hyper real and totally broad. Like earthly memories are very limited and specific. This memory is very rich and connected to so many other things, and it's like all happening at once. I feel like it's even happening right now, and also simultaneously it feels like it was 20,000 years ago. So I feel like it exists unto itself in a hyper real, like soul level. But what changes for me is whether or not I'm close to it or far from it. It's like that. So the more that I'm focused on the human story and human thoughts and human activities, the further away it feels. Like if I go for a couple weeks and I'm just working a lot and I haven't meditated, it's quite distant. And it's not like I meditate on it, but if I practice meditation commonly and let go of the thoughts and dwell fully in the present moment, it's just naturally there. Like I'm naturally much closer to it. And I feel like not a day goes by that I don't think about like the presence of the veil and where I am in relation to it. I just can't help but be aware of it and think of it. But as for the experience, like pre-birth experience and that, that kind of experience, there's no question for me. It's self-evidently real at a level that is like far deeper and more personal, so intrinsically personal and holy that it is, it's not up for debate for me. It's just whether or not it's close to me or far away. And I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I would say for myself, if we mean vivid in a visual sense, my most powerful pre-birth memory that I've had for my entire life that has never left me was not visual. Now, I do have other memories with a visual element that may have happened in, more physical realms. I'm not sure. I don't have all the answers to that. And those have come back to me with time. But my memory of the light was so far beyond anything that happens in a physical realm that we can wrap our minds around here. Now, I have put visuals to it, and then I tried to paint it, and I put words to it. I tried to write about it. Nothing even comes close. And then sometimes, right in that state, right before I'm falling asleep, or if I'm deep in meditation or something, I will snap into that state of awareness and I'll see something again. But as soon as I come back, it's like it doesn't make any sense. It's these weird, what we would call shapes and colors, but they represent things that I can't even grasp here. And I know I sound completely crazy talking about it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But what I'm getting around to is that I don't want to be misleading and say that I have this vivid memory of being in a visual place, because I don't. But it was so much deeper and so much more real that it is orders of magnitude more real than this life.
Yes.
And it is so real that it is, it's more than just a memory. It's like, it is me. My memory of the light is me. It is who I am. It is the number one thing that I've cared about my entire life, stretching back to when I was 2 years old. It's the number one driving force of my life. It has been the reason why I've made all the decisions that I have made, has either been about trying to get that connection to the light back before I understood what I was missing, or now it's about trying to embody that and express that and like talk about it, paint it, whatever I can to express it here. So that's how I would describe my memory. Anything else? Yeah.
I'll just add one last quick comment. So I had pre-birth memories that had a visual element for sure, like defined visual elements. But the experience of the world as an external visual environment is something we learn on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So we expect that that's what reality is. It's a shared environment that you can visually see. But that's not the fundamental layers of reality. So I'm just making that comment in the context of the question because people are looking for more of what we know on Earth. But what we know on Earth is just a way of experiencing reality. There is definitely sensory experience, but there's also forms of sensory experience that are not even imaginable on Earth. So I'll just make that comment really quickly.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're absolutely right. It's spot on.
Number 6. This is Arke's question. Why can some people remember and the majority don't?
I'll give you guys the opportunity to answer that first.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Okay, so I can give my best guess on why this is the case. And I think it's because, like we were talking about earlier, to be fully immersed, to truly have this experience, we have to be fully immersed in it. And Christian, you can explain this so much better than I can. But part of the deal with being here is that we're not going to remember who we are. And so to fully take on those constraints, as you would say, that's part of what we're doing. That's part of the reason we come here, is to not remember and to challenge yourself in that way. But I think that maybe the people who have a memory of before, that possibly that's part of their purpose here. That's part of the reason why they came. They came and planned their life knowing I'm going to have this memory and it will affect me in such and such a way. I know for myself, having this memory of the light has, I mean, like I said, it is me. It's my entire life. It's what everything that I've done has been about. And so I have to believe that I probably planned that. But having a memory does make life more difficult in some aspects, I think, because you remember what you're missing. And so for me as a child, as a teenager, I was completely obsessed with how can I get it back? Completely obsessed with it. I didn't care about the normal things that kids my age cared about. I cared about, how am I going to have this experience? How am I going to feel this peace? How am I going to find this love again? What crazy thing do I have to do to stimulate a spiritual experience? And then also adjusting to the world. This world, like I said, was extremely difficult as a child, simply not being able to communicate through thought concepts and just with downloads of information, and then not understanding, well, my parent is all the way across the room, and A, they're physically separate from me. They're so far away, and B, they're not picking up what I'm sending them here. That's my best effort at answering that question.
Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, so I want to make a quick comment about this. So I also remember asking to have some memory this time, but I also feel very strongly that it's not that one has to have made an arrangement to remember in order to remember. I think that's really important to say, because it's not like, I mean, I don't know how you guys say, but I feel very confidently we're not special. I'm not special in this way. Like, we're just, everyone is an amazing, powerful spiritual being here right now. And that is what we are. Okay. So now the question, why do some remember and some don't? Okay. So I certainly cannot even remotely touch the complexities of the veil. I don't understand all the veil complexities. That's its own thing. It's its own deep technology, its own expertise. But I'll just say that so the veil is organic. And what I mean by that is it's not just like some firm, fixed, hard rule. Ha ha, you're stuck here now. It's something that we wear on and in our consciousness. And what you already are is your consciousness. So if you can locate your consciousness, it sounds simple and like wordplay or something, but it's actually really important. If you locate your consciousness itself and spend time with it, just with your aliveness itself and the quality of your mind, the quality of your being, and the quality of the sensation of aliveness in your body, and you spend time with that, it may come to you on its own that you are already on the other side of the veil right now. The earthly experience is happening in you, on you, in you. And the veil is simply the cloak, it's just a metaphor, that you're wearing to permit this level of constraint. So now why is some people and not others? I can't speak to the veil itself, but I'll just say that we are at varying degrees of association with the forms of earth. So many people are deeply, deeply associated with their thoughts and with the stories and with their interpretations and with the feelings and the touching and the visual and the next idea and the next stimulation and the next. What TV show can I watch now? What can I eat? What this person made me upset, and on and on and on. And we just constantly focused in the content of the physical. So the nature of the veil is such that the more we focus on that and the more we lose ourselves in our association with the story of the character, the deeper the veil is experienced as being. So those who are able to let go of that and with full alertness, engage the present moment and explore and feel and know the aliveness that we are, as that happens, I feel that it is natural that aspects of the higher portions of ourselves will rise up all on their own. At least that's how I experience it. I don't experience it like I, as a separate person, go and get it. I'm not even trying to get it. It's just that as we experience what we are and not the thought, it's to put down the objects, the shiny objects of our thoughts. Put down the shiny objects and just exist and dwell in the present moment for its depth of fullness. Those larger aspects of ourselves can arise on their own. And I feel that in general, that's true for everyone. Everyone is able technically then to know the deeper parts of themselves, even though there is an organic veiling occurring within each of us. ARKE?
Oh, yeah. I absolutely agree with both of you. And I think especially with the part of it, having a pre-birth memory didn't make things easier for you.
Yeah.
It probably even made it complicated because as a child, I didn't know how to explain because I didn't understand myself what it was. Or I tried to seek out that love and I felt this emptiness that there is something I'm missing. I'm missing something. And I've heard many I love yous, I like yous from my relatives, my mom, but it didn't feel like the love I experienced. So I would say, I would question the I love you. And I would try to win favor of my mom or other people please, because I thought maybe that way I can experience that feeling of this unconditional love. And where is it? Or as a child, I remember trying, I was probably a weirdo, what people would say. And I wouldn't get along with kids because I couldn't explain to them the things I was trying to put words around it, like how you can think of something and you will get it. And as a child, I went explaining to other children, like, you can think of something and you will get it. I got this toy by just thinking about it every night. And I was, I was bullied, judged, and that made things worse. So I started becoming more timid and shy and anxious about speaking up about my experience and things. So, but I still had this feeling that I'm missing something, and I should find it. But what turned out is it was already in me. And as for the why some people remember and why some don't, I think it's also part of the purpose, because when I got out, as I mentioned earlier, I was very happy that I managed to remember the pre-birth memory because it kept me going. So I was very proud of myself. I was like, yes, I did it. Even though it made things complicated, but I did it. And I still can't figure out what's the bigger purpose, what's that missing thing was. I still get that urge, like I need to be completing something bigger, something I need to do, but I don't know what it is. I still get that urge sometimes, but I keep remembering that the guidance I kept receiving was just be at present moment, be the now, be the love, and be the patience, be the compassion, and be yourself. And that is already gonna change the whole world. So that's what I keep remembering and recalling as a guidance to myself. Like, this is what I have to remember, because it's easy for me to get lost in that urge of going out and helping and trying to save everybody, or the feeling, I don't know what it is. It is something. But for those...
So I want to interject with real quick. Sorry. That hole that you're describing, that missing thing that we're searching for, that we feel is... So first of all, everybody I think feels that to some extent. We all feel there's something missing. I just want to say that we need to acknowledge the incredible bravery and strength that it takes to even look at that in ourselves, because that missing hole is profound. It's the source isn't really missing, but it feels like that which is most us is gone. And that alone prompts so much fear. And in my own pre-birth experience, I reacted in fear immediately. I was like, this is not happening. I am not going to be in this state. Like, there's no way, because that hole is so profound. So I'm just lifting up that there is an incredible beauty in the strength that you demonstrate, that all of us demonstrate, when we acknowledge and actually allow that hole and meet life, even though it's there. Like, even though that distance is occurring and we're feeling that. Because I'm just saying, so many people run from it and cover it, and someone could, because it prompts fear and then the ego and then all these ego layers, and now we don't even remember it. We're just going to eat the next cookie, or whatever we can do to like feel better, and just try to fill that gaping missing hole that we don't even remember that we're missing. I'm just saying, it takes great strength to face it and feel it and acknowledge this is the state we're in right now, and become fully allowing of the human condition set. And when we fully allow that and like just totally like welcome it and feel even that distance, even that hole, that's when the peace returns, because it's not like it actually went anywhere. I don't know how to say it. I just wanted to encourage that, because I feel like someone who's listening that might help somebody.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
That's okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I truly appreciate it. 100% sure there will be someone who needs to hear it, or there is someone. But yeah, in terms of the memories, I think it was part of my purpose to remember them for some reason. And as looking back at my childhood, I think they kept me going. Because the message in my pre-birth memory was, you're going to be loved and you're going to be welcome. Always remember that. Even though I had challenges in my life, as this innocent child, naive child, I always believed that there was going to be a day when I'm loved and welcome, because they said it. I didn't know who, but they was like, they said it. But yes, it did make life a bit complicated. And what I can say is, I don't think we need to remember. I don't think so.
Right.
I observe people around me, and including my partner. And my partner has absolutely no desire of questioning the other side, the afterlife, the consciousness. He's just very into his work and into nature, into birds, into talking about cars and this, the houses and about the construction and things. But he and I look at him and I think I understand this is the choice. This was probably the choice of these souls as well, because he's still enjoying the life, and we have totally different, perspectives on everything. But he doesn't try to question things, but still I have so much to learn from him, and every day I learn something from him, even though some people don't have this spiritual transformations, pre-birth memories, near-death experiences. We still have so much to learn from each other because we are constantly teaching each other everything. So I would say it's not necessary to remember, and it's not necessary. It's certainly not a goal for anybody to recall it or be attached to the idea of recalling it. I wouldn't say that's necessary unless you are called to do it, unless you feel like, I don't know, unless your intuition tells you that's something that you need to do. You need to recall it, because there are many practices available to, recall your past lives, rebirth memories, or life between lives, things like that. So I'm pretty sure it is possible. But yeah, I wouldn't get attached to the idea of why don't I have, why this person has, because it doesn't make a difference at all. It doesn't make anything easier or harder. It doesn't make anybody, special, or, status-wise. You don't grow, you don't get rewarded, you don't get anything for it. And then same in the afterlife, you don't get rewarded for anything. You're not like, there are no levels of spirituality. Like, there is no such thing as, oh, this is spiritual good. You are on level 10. You are not spiritual. You are on level 1. There is no such thing as that. So I wouldn't say you need to remember or even, bother with it, because if you don't, you don't. But keep on enjoying the life and every moment now as if it's the new life, because I now started fully understanding the meaning of free will, because every moment now is like the reincarnation. And I think we have, I don't know, I don't think we have the full explanation of reincarnation, because I don't think we fully get it, how it happens. We think like it's a linear thing, time where we reincarnate as this human and we have a break and then we go back. What if it's not that way? What if it's all happening at once? What if you just lay down and you decide to have 5 dreams? One on Earth, one on other planet, one on there, one on this, and this. What if it's that way? You don't know. So I wouldn't question on that, but the magic of present moment now, that's where the free will is. And you have this, you can reincarnate if you want to in the present moment now. You decide who you want to be, how you want to talk, how you want to behave, what you want to do, what hobbies you want to do, who you want to become tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, the after the moment now, who you want to become. So I think it's better to focus on the joy of life and the moments of now and what you can do with your free will and see what you can create, rather than worrying about the comparison. Like, why do these remember? Why don't I don't have that, I think.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree 100% with that. And I feel like some people seek to escape in this avenue, but the thing is, this experience right now is spiritual. This is a deeply spiritual experience, and this is what we're here to do. So I agree 100% that there's not really a need to go and try to remember, but we're free to do whatever we like. So like you said, if you choose to do that, so be it. That's great.
I also want to echo what both of you said, that having a pre-birth memory does not make you special in any way. It's just, I think, different experiences. Like we may choose to have different experiences. There's some people may ask as they're coming in, please let me remember this. I don't want to forget this. And also what you said, Christian, that this life is just as spiritual. It is. And getting, like you mentioned, one of you mentioned trying to escape into the experience, which has been a big issue that I have had, huge issue that I've had, wanting to just escape into the memories or into having some type of supernatural experience, when in reality, we have to get into the physical experience and we have to deal with the contrast, the sheer and the anger and all of the emotions that we have. And we have to go into that and fully immerse ourselves in that in order to discover that we are already what we're looking for. And so there's a reason why we're here and we don't want to run from it.
No, I agree 100%. I think the escape, the feeling of trying to escape makes you more and more unconscious. And the more miserable you start feeling about yourself. But the more you become aware, that's where you regain that consciousness and the power, and you start enjoying for the things for what they truly are and yourself for who you really are. So I think, that's what a lot of people do in their life, including me.
It's a beautiful comment. Thank you.
Great. One last question, our bonus question number 7 is, what is one thing that you took from your pre-birth memories and how did it impact you? So I'll let one of you take that one first.
It was always giving me this hope throughout my life, even when I didn't know what the hell was going on in this life, around the world, on earth, with people, and why things are moving in the way they're moving. But it always gave me hope that there is a purpose for me being here, even in the darkest times of my life where I thought, that's it, I'm quitting, I don't like it. But it gave me that hope. And I think it protected me in some more unexplainable way from a lot of things I could have turned into. I think the challenges in life, you have the free will. You can say, you get that pain, you feel like people are treating you this way, and you can get that, you can turn into it totally, you can turn evil, you can you can become that person who tries to take revenge and things like that. But that memory was giving me this comfort of that hope and love, and just to be patient. And even when my ego would say, you are a pushover, people are walking all over you, or some people would say, people are bullying you or walking all over you because you're a pushover, or you are sensitive, you are this and this. And I still would recall that memory, feel a truth in that, rather than everywhere else, from everybody I was hearing from, even from my ego, that there was this truth that I am loved and I will always be loved and welcomed. So I kept on to that. And I think one thing, if I would say one thing that it gave me, is the sense of home and sense of belonging and sense of me. But I think right now I understand that I'm at home and that the home is not the afterlife and it's not heaven, but the home is state of being and it's a natural state of being of who we are. So yeah, I am very grateful for that memory because it showed me that the unconditional love, although it did mess up some things in my life. But I'm grateful because I thanks to that, I am where I am right now. And I feel at home. I no longer have the urge to escape this life. I no longer have the urge to escape the human experiences, but I am fully enjoying it. And I understood that the universe or the God, what other people would call, is not a being which is like separate. It's a state of being. And that's what we are, because we are that universe. We are that whole. So I think that's what it gave me, the peace and the feeling and the full understanding of the word home. I am at home. And wherever I go, I am at home. Doesn't matter, even if I end up in another country or on the other side of the planet, wherever I am, I'm still at home. I am at peace. So I am very grateful for the memory that it kept me going. If I was asked again after this life, after finishing this character's life, if I was asked again, would I do it again? I would absolutely say yes. Or even if I was asked, because I thought about it, if I was asked, would you like to repeat ARKE's life again, knowing that it's going to be it's going to be exactly the same? I think I would say yeah. Yeah, of course, let's go. That's how much of a strength and trust it gave me and peace. So I'm very, very grateful to it. I think that's what I got. The feeling, the sense of belonging and sense of home.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I think there's two primary things that I took from my pre-birth memories, and one of them we would see as a positive. The other one is not so obviously a positive, but for most of my life, the main overriding thing that I carried with me was just this knowing, this remembering of this connection that I had, this overwhelming unconditional love and bliss and inner peace and connectedness, and something that just doesn't seem to exist here. And I didn't understand that it was a pre-birth memory. I didn't have any of this knowledge that I do now. And it really just drove me to constantly seek this experience. With time and maturing and understanding, it allowed me and it kind of forced me into a situation where I finally realized what I'm looking for is within me. What I'm looking for, I'm already that. Like you were saying, I am home and I'm always at home. But it took me 29 years to get there. The other thing that I took from my pre-birth memory that I've sort of always had is just this underlying knowledge that love is the answer, and that there is this other place where love and peace and harmony is the normal experience. And so when I was young, the collective consciousness, it has changed a lot. But when I was young, it was just this very mocking attitude towards that idea. And that was sort of hard for me to deal with as a child, but yet it was strong enough that it never left me. That love is the answer, love is the way. I can't be hateful or angry towards people, even like criminals or murderers or anything like that. I would have a hard time understanding, well, how can you not love them? Because love is what will change them. And so I sort of always had this underlying knowledge about love. And I guess those are the two primary things that I took from my experience.
Yeah, Melissa, what you just said about loving those who have done some wrong is something that I sensed as well. And I think it's one example of like, okay, so in my case, I had some pre-birth memory as a child, but then I forgot it for most of my adult life until I was 30. But especially as a child, I assumed certain aspects of the larger reality would be true here, and they weren't. And that kind of feeling that love is the answer is a part of that picture. It's understood. Love is what's needed. It's just what's needed. It's done. Yeah. So, but here, this is such an alien place, not only because of the limitations and the constraints, but because of where the collective consciousness is and because of the ideas that prevail here. And so I definitely sensed that, I think, more than others. I think all of my life, in fact, I've had difficulty coming to terms with how certain things operate here. And for a long time, I didn't really attribute that to my pre-birth memory when I didn't remember it. But when it returned to me when I was 30, and now it was like, oh my goodness, no wonder these things so many things about Earth have not made sense to me. There's just so many things I've expected and sensed, like this should be the way it is. We should be able, and you and I were kind of talking about it before we started recording today, Melissa, these feelings of like, we should be able to share what we feel. We should understand each other, and we should have this connection with nature, this connection with the environment that I can draw on it, and it's a part of me and I'm a part of it. And we're missing that here. And like, we just sense that it's supposed to be there. Where is it? That kind of thing. So I know that I was definitely affected in that way. I wouldn't even say by my experiences, just because I had some closeness, you could say, to those higher states of being. That was very natural. Like there's so many things like that. Like the fact that we can't telepathically communicate seems ridiculous to me. I get like legitimately irritated that I can't move objects with my mind, not because like what I mean by that is like I actually expect that I should be able to. It's not that I have I want to be able to move things around with some power. No, it's just that I expect I should be able to do that, and I can't. Anyway, but how did it affect me when the memory returned to me? For me, in my case, one of the main things I'm here to do is to process a very low vibration, a process of fear. And so in my case, the memory has helped me to, this is hard to articulate, but to experience and come to terms with the gap, the distance between that higher state of being and here. Coming to terms with that and allowing it is no small feat. And I did not realize for the first 35 years of my life how deeply in fear I was living at every moment. I was resisting the limitation, resisting being human. I've mentioned this example before, and it's kind of crass, but it's just one example. I remember peeing one day early in my awakening journey and realizing I was afraid of peeing. Why was I afraid of that? Well, it was very simple. There was a sensation occurring in my body that I couldn't fully control. I could control whether I was peeing or not, but the sensation of it, I'm very sensitive. I'm a very sensitive person, and the sensation of it wasn't within my control. And I realized all of the human experience is full of so much sensory experience, so much denseness, so much definition, you could say, like dense definition, consistent, rigorous, like unrelentingly consistent definition. That's one way to describe the physical experience, unrelentingly consistent. And I didn't realize how much I was resisting that in fear, like allowing the limitation. I was not allowing the limitation. So for me, one of the major impacts for me is now have felt that distance, and I seek to fully allow the gap. And in so doing, that is a part of the process of integrating the gap. I like to describe it. It's like straddling the Grand Canyon, like having one toe on the other side and one foot all the way on the other side. And I'm like, this is a really fun, maybe I'm crazy for doing this, but I feel the opportunity and the potential, and it is huge. Like the opportunity and potential of coming to terms with and allowing the fullness and the depth of limitation here in the human experience is profoundly huge. And so being consciously aware of that is one of the main things that my memory helped me, because that's something I can, I don't like the words work on, but something I can engage every day, no matter what the experience, whether I have the stomach flu, which is something I particularly dislike, or whether, I'm just saying that because I remember last time I had the stomach flu, I was like vomiting, laying on the floor, and I was all delirious, and I was fully allowing. And I'm like, this is human. Like, is it okay that I'm totally nauseated? Yeah, it's okay. I'm just saying it's an opportunity. All of the experience. So whether it's that, or whether it's driving a car, whether it's, being in business meetings all day, whatever we're experiencing here, there is such an opportunity to allow it and to fully feel it and to fully experience it and to fully integrate it. So I think that's just one thing I would lift up for me that's been very impactful.
That really, really speaks to me and what I've been going through over the past several months. Personally,
it's like, it sounds simple. It is not. Like, it is more difficult than, I don't know, what we might consider very difficult in earthly terms, because it means a quality of engaging and surrender and an allowing of fear in a way that is huge spiritually, even though no one may see it.
Yeah.
It's not a surface thing. But that quality, that way that we meet it is so important. And we never talk about it. It's just one of these things that's kind of always been dumbfounding to me. We live in a society where I feel like we should be able to live in a place where we can walk up to each other on the street and share this. How are you dealing with the limitations today? How do you feel? What's your experience? What are you actually experiencing right now? That's not usually how we engage one another, but I love that we can share it in this environment together, because this is real. This is the real communication, the real conversation. There are other people who feel this way, even if they can't quite put their finger on it. We're all dealing with this to some extent, and it is if we can encourage each other and be there for each other and say, you know what, it's okay that it's messy. It's okay you don't have your arms around it all the way. It's okay that you feel afraid. It's okay that you don't like being sick. It's okay that you reject or have a problem with some circumstance. It's okay. And to honor each other in what we're experiencing and actually be there for each other without judgment for what we're actually experiencing. Wow, man. Let's do it. That's what this is all about.
Thank you so much for watching. My guests' links can be found in the description box. If you have had a near-death experience, pre-birth experience, out-of-body experience, past or between life memories, or spiritual awakening story that you would like to share, find the link to apply in the description box. If you would like to support the channel, we have a few fun ways that you can do that. I do have a merch store linked in the description. We've put some of the phrases on t-shirts that you guys requested. I have affiliate links to my favorite blue blockers, my favorite red light panel, and a couple of other companies that I work with. You can join my membership at the Sanctuary. You can sign up for an energy healing. I also offer a 4-session energy healing package. You'll find all these links in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. Now go live your most extravagantly loving life.